The Diablo IV debates continue to heat up as many are surprised by the seasonal character resets. Damage resistance scaling continues to receive criticism and growing evidence that this game was just not ready for launch. And listen, I hate to be that guy, but I tried to warn everybody that this would happen and that many of these things would be viewed as critical or not good for ultimate game design. Multiple times in the lead up to this game's launch, I took issue with the seasonal resets being required for seasonal content and the season battle pass. I said that newer players or less experienced players would be very surprised by this. I was told, well, you don't know what you're talking about. That's just how ARPGs work. I predicted many players would be shocked and surprised and maybe even drop off when Season 1 arrives. I also took issue with resistance scaling, said that it made zero sense in the base game as it's typically an end game design choice. And on top of all this, the constant adjustments, the overcorrection, the lead up to the game's launch not even having the base classes balanced, I thought this game is simply not ready. Just do a quick Google search of the word Diablo IV disabled and you'll see just how many things have been disabled since the game has launched. Now, I have a video coming later today. I'm reacting to Riker's take on the seasonal format, so be sure to check out that video. It's going to be on Reforge Gaming as an upload. Now, I put all the good information right here at the beginning, so you don't have to go looking for it. So make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my live shows. Not a day goes by that it doesn't seem like a new debate about something in Diablo IV crops up. Players defending seasonal character resets, clashing with those who didn't even see it coming and don't feel like starting a new character. Discussions about damage scaling and level scaling while playing through the main game, and the continued sense that Diablo IV was simply not ready when it released. This is less of an I told you so and more of an I tried to warn you video. First, I do want to look at the seasonal reset debate. It continues to go on. I have a reaction to Riker's video on this topic. It's going to hit Reforge Gaming as an upload, so be sure to check that out. He put out his own video about this. But I also want to look at the conversation that is happening in this video, in this talk, because the seasonal format has been an ongoing debate. Second, I want to examine damage resistance scaling, and this cuts both ways as players are both discovering that investing in resistance is pointless, but we're also seeing people take issue with the fact that as you level, it feels like you get weaker. Now, this is related to a laundry list of things that I think prove my final point. This game was not ready at launch. First up, what does everybody think about the seasonal character reset? This has been an ongoing debate. I was one of the few people that said, listen, you really need to consider what this is going to feel like to people who are unfamiliar with Diablo and the seasonal format. What I want to do is, before I get into the fact that people are worried about Renown getting reset or just feedback in general on the seasonal character reset, I want to establish what I have said up to now. First, I made the prediction on more than one occasion that Season 1 would result in a big player drop-off. Anyone unfamiliar with the format would be shocked to learn they have to create a brand new character just to do the seasonal content or even the seasonal battle pass. I believe my prediction is increasing in likelihood when they revealed how long leveling would take. So even before the game came out, I thought more and more people are going to be upset by this because even leveling itself is going to take a very long time. Generally, my thought was the vast majority of players would be sort of not even close to done with their first character when Season 1 started. Diablo 3 introduced seasons a whole year after the game's release, and I think that made it easier for folks to consider trying it out, right? It wasn't happening a month to a month and a half after the game's release. Season showed up a year later. The second thing that I have tried to stress is that folks will just want the option. Just give us the option. Nobody is asking Diablo 4 to change or to not have seasonal resets with ladders and all these other features. Just give me the option to grind the seasonal challenges and the battle pass with an existing character while opting out of the ladder races and expedited leveling, and it wouldn't really hurt the game's identity. I've got a tweet from Rod Ferguson. I've got a DM from Adam Fletcher on this that that I find just bewildering. I continue to see this framed as, well, new players or players who don't get ARPGs, they're the ones that don't like this. That's simply not the case. There are plenty of us who have played Diablo since the Fairyverse game, and we think the seasonal format is worthy of criticism and maybe even a change. The third thing that I have tried to stress is that this game's identity is just confused. I see the same people defending seasonal character resets, they're also defending crazy rare item drops. Super slow long tail leveling and incredibly low drop rates on high value items is nonsensical in a game where you don't stick with the main character. Is this game an MMO or is it a seasonal ARPG? It doesn't seem to know, and neither do the people defending it. So that's just my thoughts on seasonal format. So what's happening now? Why is it getting so much focus since they did announce all of this before the game came out? Renown suddenly got in the highlight and suddenly got in the headlines. According to apptrigger.com, quote, all of your map progress and altars of Lilith will remain discovered. You will also keep all the bonuses from the altars. The renown for altars and map areas discovered will carry over each season, but that's it. Waypoints will all be visible, but you'll need to travel manually to each in order to unlock them. Like I said, not ideal, but not so terrible either. So they're basically summarizing how it's going to work, and this is where people, I think, got understandably upset. Quote, all renown earned from dungeons, side quests, and strongholds will be lost. So if you are maxed out on renown levels on each area, you won't be come Season 1. You will need to redo dungeons, side quests, unknown what new quests will be added yet, in order to max back out. So if you want to get your renown back to where it was, you're going to have to do all those things all over again. Now, this has many players, even hardcore veteran players, saying, no thank you. According to Deserto.com, it seems that many Diablo IV players are unaware that Renown will not be carrying over from season to season. Those who are aware of it already, making their voices heard on why it's not a good idea. So this isn't like a newer player being unaware about making a new character. These are experienced players that had no idea that this was going to happen with Renown. A Reddit thread titled, quote, Make Renown Permanent currently has over 8,000 upvotes and over 2,000 comments. Now, if you think casual players or new players or players unfamiliar with ARPGs are flocking to Reddit by the thousands to discuss this and upvote this, I think you're incredibly wrong. Both casual and new players are the least likely to use Reddit or forums, even Twitter and YouTube, to discuss this game, and we're seeing this sentiment virtually everywhere. I'm not saying everybody agrees, but it's certainly a bigger discussion than just casuals and new players. This sparked an epiphany for gaming bloggers who seemingly missed this from all of the early marketing. So Rod Ferguson had to set them straight. Quote, to take part in the seasonal questline, mechanics, season journey, and battle pass, you will need to create a new seasonal character. Playing campaign with seasonal character, if you so desire or need to finish, will also progress the season journey and the battle pass. What blows my mind about this is you're better off not playing the game at all right now if you're not too keen on creating a new character. You can make a seasonal character when Season 1 starts and play the campaign on that character. You will then simultaneously be working on the season journey and the battle pass. This is what we've all been asking for. I just would like to do it with the character I already have. The character I'm in, in the 20s and working on the campaign. Just let me work on the battle pass. Let me work on the seasonal stuff with that character instead of making a new one. Now, I double-checked this with Adam Fletcher, okay? He is the Global Community Development Director for Diablo IV, and he replied to my DM and said, seasonal content can be done via the campaign, but you can't access skip campaign until you complete it at some point in your Diablo playtime. So you don't need to complete the campaign before Season 1 if you want to take part in the seasonal content. You just need to complete the campaign to unlock the ability to skip it. Like, that's it. So, again, this whole system makes no sense. the campaign will progress the seasonal journey and the battle pass, but only if you're on a seasonal character. Let's say you're halfway through the campaign, maybe you just haven't finished leveling yet. Well, you can't do anything in the season with that character. You need to make a new one. That just, again, doesn't stand to reason, since you can create a new character, run the campaign, and get all the seasonal stuff done at the same time. According to ClutchPoints.com, this came as a surprise to quite a few players. Some of them even voiced their concerns. One user, for example, mentioned that Diablo IV is, quote, going to lose so much of this massive new casual player base because of the season resets once it actually kicks in. Should rethink your strategy. This sounds awfully familiar. This is essentially what I've argued in multiple videos, that the seasonal format will not work with newer players. They will not understand why their 50 or 60 level something character cannot enjoy the battle pass or the seasonal content. I made a video stating that you would need to make 41 characters if you want to experience all of the Diablo IV story elements. You have to make basically 4 characters a year if you make one for each season. That's if you just do one every season, not more than one. If you just do the bare minimum, that's 4 characters a year. And if they plan to have this game go for 10 years like they've said, that's 10 years, 4 characters a year, that's 40 characters. Plus, the first one that you made when the game launched in a pre-seasonal state. That's where the 41 character number comes from. People keep defending this by claiming that Diablo 2 had ladders and resets, and Diablo 3 carried it forward with seasons, but the difference here is twofold. First, it's landing within a month and a half of the game coming out, and second, there's a battle pass. Everyone keeps ignoring this. Why is it wrong to give players more options simply because, according to you, well, it's always been this way, so I guess it should always stay that way? Seasons were a brand new idea in Diablo 3, so it's just brazen ignorance to act as if Diablo 4 can't evolve in the same way that Diablo 3 did, just giving people more options and more ability to play the game. Now let's talk about resistance scaling, because this is another big debate that's coming up. And again, I tried to tell people this wasn't going to feel very good. Let me restate what I've said up to now. Increasing the damage resistance enemies have against you as you level is a terrible design choice. It makes you feel weaker as you play, and it has no place in the campaign or the base leveling experience. This type of philosophy is perfectly fine for the end game, because once you're in the end game, you're within a content loop that empowers you to min-max. It helps you to find best in slot. You can craft a build to overcome the more resistant and strong enemies. But you simply can't do this while you're leveling. You're at the mercy of whatever drops. It makes leveling feel antithetical to power fantasy and to getting stronger. This is just one aspect of what added to the boredom I felt when I got to level 26. Not only am I doing the exact same attacks from level 16 to 26, but the action was slowing down. Bit by bit, every fight, every quest, it just felt a little less punchy. Enemies lived just a little bit longer. This compounded on the static sense of using the same abilities for 10 levels. Like a blade that got dull with use, the more I played, the less effective I felt. So let's see what others think about this subject. From MSN.com, in an article titled Diablo 4 Players Think Resistance Makes No Sense. Quote, Diablo 4 seems to struggle with level scaling as many players find its current system to be too rigorous on character progression. In many occasions out in the open world, such as during Helltides or world bosses, it is preferable to group up with low-level characters to kill enemies more easily, which feels counterintuitive for a hack-and-slash role-playing game. I tried to highlight this during the beta, and I was told I didn't know what I was talking about. My wife was 10 to 15 levels below me, and she was melting everything in the dungeon that we were in. Folks told me that, well, she probably had better gear. No, it's literally how the game is designed, and folks are already leveraging the low-level character loophole. The article continues, by leveling up, players become weaker relative to the world around them, and the only way to keep their power level steady is to keep earning good loot. Unfortunately, the problem is further exacerbated by an itemization system that largely favors skill cooldown reduction over anything else. So as I said so many times before the game came out, damage resistance scaling makes no sense in the base game. And what kills me about this is it makes perfect sense to turn on during the end game or the higher world tiers. It's totally fine if you want to put it there. It belongs there. The people that are playing at that level, the people that are in the end game, are well equipped to answer damage resistance scaling. But leveling through the base game on World Tier 1? It's honestly stupid. There's no other word for it. Beyond that, players are finding that investing in their own resistance isn't even designed well either. Kriparian, a fellow YouTuber, discovered that, quote, equipping an item that has 52% cold resistance bonus only applies 2% damage reduction from cold damage. In its present shape, it discourages stacking resistance as an attribute, as players are far more likely to benefit from life, which scales linearly, or damage reduction, which scales more favorably. So, this just perfectly leads to my final section. It's never been more obvious that this game was not ready. So, flowing right from one system that's clearly not designed well, resistance, let's look at some others. A handful of headlines will really capture the picture quite well. Deserto, quote, Diablo IV players blast devs for killing solo with constant dungeon nerfs. That article highlighted a Reddit thread with over 8,000 upvotes entitled, Devs, we run dungeons to level because the XP everywhere else sucks. Another one from Deserto. Diablo IV players frustrated as endgame users are dominating PvP in low world tiers. While PvP has already looked like something very few players are engaging with, this maybe is one of the reasons why. Then, if you just Google Diablo IV disabled, okay, just look for Diablo IV disabled, look in the news category at all of the headlines. Game Rant, Diablo IV temporarily disables one of its legendary aspects. Games Radar, Diablo IV's level 100 Pinnacle Challenge encounter has been temporarily disabled. MP First, Diablo IV Gore's devastating grip's unique power disabled due to being too OP. And Game Rant, Diablo IV disables another barbarian legendary aspect. Consider all of this in addition to the fact that classes were still not balanced at launch. After 2 public betas, a server slam, and a handful of closed betas, they just weren't ready, and they had things overreacting in the server slam that they had to dial back on the Necromancer. Let's not forget that the ladder race won't even be ready when Season 1 starts, bringing the conversation full circle. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is 2 main points. First, I tried to tell you. That doesn't come from a place of satisfaction. I really wanted to be wrong about Diablo IV. And the thing that second that I would like to say is, I'm just disappointed. I was really looking forward to playing this game couch co-op with my wife for months, and beyond that, maybe even for years to come. So my hope is that since the conversation is hitting such a fever pitch, that the devs can make some adjustments, and bring changes that would make the early game, the end game, the seasonal grind, more appealing to everyone. Because if they don't, I'll have to say I told you so, and like all of the other players that I predicted would walk away, I too will simply have to walk away from the game. So let me give you my thoughts and my conclusion. It will be interesting to see how Diablo IV takes shape in the coming years, given all of the recent feedback. Will they bend and make changes for players who don't want to make new characters every few months? How will they handle endgame criticisms and class balance? Does PvP have a future in the game? I firmly believe they have a foundation that they can build upon, but first impressions matter, and it'll be interesting to see if they can pivot fast enough to maximize player retention. 2, it's never been my intention to beat a game down or to bash a game, especially one that I was looking forward to. But I could see Diablo IV, I just can't see it any other way than another game that wasn't ready for launch. And I know many will claim that no amount of testing can equal the public playing the game, so many of these things just couldn't be discovered. And while that's true, many of the problems in Diablo IV don't seem to be the result of the genius of the millions. Base level class balance shouldn't need the entire public to weigh in. Conflicting philosophies about rare items, seasonal resets, and damage scaling resistance feel more indicative of internal problems than, well, we needed the public's help to test this. Hopefully they can get the game to level out with respect to problems, disabling gear, and balance, so even the people staying in the game can enjoy it. My conclusion is that Diablo IV is certainly one of those titles that is simply too big to fail. but that doesn't mean the ongoing model and the setup will work long term. Good reviews and commercial success in the launch month was never in doubt, and the game journeys forward as it journeys forward. I am both cheering for it and asking it to change. And being dismissed as a new to Diablo player or someone who just doesn't get ARPGs is just unhelpful and tiring. Diablo 3 evolved, and Diablo 4 will certainly go through changes as well. But if those who continue to gatekeep and dismiss all the criticism get their way, I won't see the point in returning anytime soon. And that is the show open. Thank you guys so much for being here. These are, I'm not kidding around. These are actually never the kinds of streams that I want to do. I don't like doing streams where I have to say, listen, I told you so, or listen, I tried to warn everybody about this, right? I said, listen, there's no way that this thing is ready. I can't remember what's this second cam called? It's just called second cam. I got to set up the timer to take me to second cam now instead of the other one. I had it set up to do automatic while we were in the show open, so that I didn't have to manually do it as often. So I wanted to see if that felt any better during the opening monologue. So guys, make sure you're going through all of the rituals. There's like 700 people here. Smash that like button. All right, smash the like button and get yourself some Reforge roast. Get your orders in. It should pop up on the screen with a little chingering, a little announcement. And let's get the likes going. We should easily have 200 likes by now. That transition's a lot harder if I have to sit there and go and make all those changes. So I'll have to think about that as well, how I want to do that. That was not an easy shift. I've got to go all the way back in the back end of OBS to change the timer to make sure it's doing what I want. Narwaffle over there on Kick says, all I want to do is be able to complete the battle pass on my eternal character. Is that too much to ask? Not to mention how rare some of the legendaries are to get once I get one. Why would I want to play a new character every few months? That is right there. Let me drag the coffee in the frame, and let's get started on the member goal. You guys got really, really close to 5,000 members. Now, we dropped over the weekend. We're in like the 4,100, so you got your work cut out for you these final days in June if you want to hit the crazy high one. That, to me, was the most alarming thing about the discussions I saw taking shape, is all the people saying, oh, no, yeah, those rare drops are good for the game. There should be items that just you almost never see. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. I thought this was a game where I was making a new character every 3 months. I thought this was a game where the new car smell and the seasonal reset was good. You're describing an MMO. That's an MMO. If you're going to have super low, super slow, long tail leveling, and you're also going to have items that just refuse to drop, that's not an ARPG, like an online ARPG. That's not like a seasonal resetting ARPG. That's an MMO. DK, Beggar, and Joker coming in and gifting members right off the rip, taking us to 2 already. Thank you guys so much. It goes to Kratopsy and JP Laguna. Congrats on getting those gifted members. Pulling a quote from an article from MSN News to prove your point isn't the strongest of pillars to base your argument off. There's so much in your monologue that's already fixed. Look how much I care what you think about my sources as I ignore your comment and move on. Zach Smith with 11 months. Jazzification coming in with a gifted membership to 3. The MSN article, by the way, was actually quoting a well-known YouTuber and going to their research into Resistance. So you're dismissed for attempting to try to undercut my monologue by saying that my sources are bad. They were literally going to a YouTuber who proved Resistance isn't working right. Jazzification coming in with another gifted membership. Thank you so much. Engage with my argument or get out. That's my new attitude. Anybody that wants to come in and dismiss my sources or act like I'm not saying, no, engage with the argument or get out. Like, engage with what I'm saying. I'm tired of people coming in and trying to completely uproot the conversation by acting like this isn't worth talking about or your sources are bad. Just stop that. It's annoying. Raptor coming in with a gifted member. J-Dog coming in with a gifted member. Jazzification coming in with a gifted member. It's not that hard to engage in the argument. If they fix things with resistance, that's superfluous to the discussion. That has nothing to do with resistance damage scaling being in the base game. That has nothing to do with it being happening during the leveling. That has nothing to do with the fact that people are taking to the Reddit forums to say, listen, we don't want Renown to reset. That has nothing to do with the overwhelming consensus that people would prefer to use their existing character in the seasonal format. You want to go to one article, one point that maybe they patched by now? That has nothing to do with the discussion or the point that I was making. You're sidestepping the entire argument. That's not how you engage in a discussion. Oh, it's already been fixed. Oh, really? Is damage resistance scaling no longer on in the base game and the leveling experience? Have they gotten rid of it? I don't think they have. That was the overwhelming point that I was trying to make. That's antithetical to a power fantasy. It doesn't make any sense. They're literally... Have they fixed the problem with bringing a low-level character along into Helltides and world bosses? Dungeons? Have they fixed that? Or are people still doing that? Is that loophole still very effective? Because it worked during the beta. I was told during the beta... What in the world? I had like a fuzz on my glasses. I was told in the beta I didn't know what I was talking about. Oh, you probably just had bad gear. Really? Because it seems to me that that's still going on because people are generally taking a low-level character with them. What is going on? I'm losing my actual mind here. There's like a hair on my face or something. I feel like a crazy person. Okay, I got it. It was like stuck to the bottom of my glasses. Why should I continue to level? Currently 75 barb. When I will restart in 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be halfway to 100 once I reach 85. This is a crazy way to ensure longevity in a game. Elemental resistances on gear are negligible in the game right now. Nobody even in the deep end game recommends that stuff. They recommended overall damage reduction from enemies in general. Oh, but I thought quoting MSN didn't help my case, and that's already been addressed. Hand-waving, sweeping reductionism, and yet it's still a problem. The resistance for single-source damage, such as poison etc., has always been the weakest form of damage reduction. You build for DR first, and then resistancers are just sprinkled on the side. Yeah, but again, that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. You're just saying, it's always been this way. This is what you're supposed to do. Yo, what's good, Web Dave? Guys, there's a good interview that Web Dave put up. We're going to be going there later today. It was awesome. It was a fun time. I tweeted about it. Make sure you guys check that out and give that video some love. Listen... You're just saying, oh, it's always been this way. You're not... Your original comment was, this stuff has already been addressed. Now it's that, oh, it's always been this way? This is just how it's supposed to be? That is not... Is that the big comeback now? Is that the comeback? Is that what we're going to do? Man, the seasonal format, why not let me do the battle pass and the seasonal challenges with my Eternal Realm character? It's always been like this. Man, resistance seems kind of backwards. I don't understand. Why are you having damage resistance in the base level game and the leveling experience? Why is resistance a worthless stat on gear? It's always been this way. Like, is that the comeback to everything? Come on. Come on. That's not a good comeback. Hilly says... Currency paralysis with aspects is my world. You can rip the ability and print it once. I did this on an aspect I wanted for my build, but the item is now under-leveled because of the constant resistance. Right. That again is exactly why the damage resistance scaling makes no sense. It's like, that makes sense in the end game once I'm all the way leveled up. Once I'm all the way leveled up, that makes perfectly good sense because now I'm going for best in slot. Now I'm min-maxing. Now I'm doing this stuff with aspects. I'm getting my build to rise to the occasion. You can't do that when you're like level 42. You just feel weaker. You're like, yep, combat just takes longer. Damage resistance is higher. I could do this a lot faster if I brought somebody with me that was half my level. They'd be killing everything faster. These are not decisions that are worthy of your allegiance or defense. They don't make sense. They're bad. Currently, poison is the only condition you need to worry about in the game. It's overtuned as F. I haven't been able to fact check that, but that's probably more proof that the game wasn't ready for launch. What did somebody say? Lono's humble, I told you so tours are the best. Listen, I didn't even want to make this video. I wanted, you know what my favorite video to make, Lobo, would have been I was wrong. Why? Because I'd be playing the game. I didn't want to be right about all this. I thought, well, maybe they'll tweak damage resistance, you know? Well, maybe they'll adjust the seasonal format, or, you know? Well, maybe the leveling won't be so bad. Maybe, you know, no, literally everything just converged at once. And I was like, I have no desire to play this game. There's other things you've stated that have been fixed, such as disabled items and abilities. But okay, Deadly Dad Gaming, you've been here a long time, and I love you, so you're getting a little extra patience from me today, okay? The point that I was making when I listed all of the things that were disabled, I wasn't claiming they were still disabled. I was supplying evidence that the game wasn't ready for launch, brother. You've got to track with the argumentation. I wasn't saying all these things are still disabled. Yo, DK Banger with one and Behemoth with a 20 bomb. Let's go. Taking us all the way to 27, past the goal. The starting goal of the day is 25. I already owe you 5. Come on back. The majority is playing the game. It's first on purple. I don't. That doesn't matter to me at all. That doesn't prove anything. Fallacy of the group isn't compelling. I've never been compelled by, well, a bunch of people are playing it. So the frick what? They're also getting crazy viewership. You think that those two don't go hand in hand? That like, hey man, it's the hot ticket item right now. It's the hot game. Everybody's playing it. Well, of course you're going to keep playing it. That would be like saying that guy whose channel blew up with Diablo 4. Well, he keeps making content. Well, of course he does. It's the hot item right now. That's not compelling. It doesn't prove anything. Redfall had a ton of people watching it. It was one of my most watched gameplay streams on this channel. You think that proves anything about Redfall's quality? That's not a repudiation of anything I said. Everything I outlined in the show open is not refuted by, well, people are playing it. I don't give a frick. What's that mean? What's that matter to me? What's that matter to me that people are playing it? First, huh? Yeah, it's not first, by the way. It is above League. It's beneath Valorant and Just Chatting, so it's actually in third place. So if you're going to state something, at least state it accurately. It's not in first over there on purple. It's in third place, third most watched directory, underneath Just Chatting and Valorant. Jeff England with 11 months. Thanks for coming back in. Love the streams. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Like, I think this happens all the time. Because you're having a good time, you don't even hear the argument. Like just a moment ago, Deadly Dad Gaming misunderstood my point. He's like, well, you listed all these things that have been disabled. They've already been fixed. I didn't list those things to prove that they're still disabled. All I was saying was, these things were disabled in the launch, in the weeks that followed launch. That was under the heading of, this game wasn't ready. You think for weeks they've had to disable activities, they've had to disable items, they've had to nerf things? That's proof the game wasn't ready. I don't care if they fixed it. Who the heck cares about that? I supplied that to show the history, to simply say, I told y'all this game wasn't ready. Just Chatting doesn't count? Sure it does. What do you mean it doesn't count? Just because you say it doesn't? What is that? Well, it doesn't count. Why? To me, you can't look at this game straight face and say that it was ready to go. You can't. It's fine to admit that. That's not bashing the game. That's just admitting facts. They launched the game and they've had to tweak and retweak and disable and turn things off and then nerf activities. You check the subreddit and you think all that feedback, what are those? Those aren't casuals. Those are hardcore players. They're like, bro, what are y'all doing to this game? It matters to me they disabled them because it means they're going to address it. Okay, but what did... That doesn't have anything to... I don't know what's happening right now. I took crazy pills. Listen to what I'm saying. All I was trying to do was support the notion that the game wasn't ready at launch. That's it. They already fixed it. Well, that means they're going to fix it. That's not a comeback. That you're not engaging with what I'm saying. That wasn't even the crux of my entire monologue. That was just a piece of it. That was one piece of my entire opening monologue. That's not the entirety of what I'm trying to talk about today. Like, yes, they disabled a bunch of stuff. The game wasn't ready. Yo, what's good, Agent Slick Slaya? That's right, I'm over here on Kick. Paul says, to be honest, it's one of the most complete live service games to drop ever. Is the whole point of being live service and being fixed on the fly not a good thing? Okay. Let's just, I don't know. None of my looter friends are playing Diablo, says Eugene. Man, I am, this is a tough one for me, chat. I feel like I was really clear. I feel like I'm a pretty good communicator, and I just feel like people are missing the point. I don't care that what was the most complete live service game to drop ever. I mean, okay, let's compare it to Anthem and what? Throw confetti in the air? That it wasn't ready. That, like, there were people, we're gonna just hand wave this in the wake of the game launching. One of my mods was literally like, I can't even play right now because they disabled stuff, and I either completely remake my build, which I don't want to do, or I just wait for them to turn it back on. Now, in the wake of that, the same person came to me and said, they've nerfed elements of my build, so now I have to completely redo my build in the end game, and I don't know if I want to do that. All I'm trying to do is show the game wasn't ready. That's it. To be like, well, it was the most complete live service game I've historically played, or isn't it a good sign they're committed to fixing things? Oh my gosh. Yes, of course. That's great. I'm not arguing against that. How dare they fix their game? I'm not saying that. The number of things that they have had to address, shut off, nerf, and tweak is just proof this game needed a couple more months. It's the first season isn't even launching with ladders. Come on, man. They don't even have them. One of the primary things people defend about the seasonal format is the ladder race. It doesn't even have it. Sad thing is, they overreacted. They over-nerfed Barbarian because a good player managed to break it. Now he is doing the same thing on Necromancer, and nothing is done. It's more than ready, says Kill You. Yes, it has problems like every single game, but there's plenty of fun to be had. Absolutely crazy to say otherwise, unless you literally play non-stop since the game released. But having fun is not proof that the game was ready for launch. The issue is this game can't decide if it's an ARPG or an MMORPG. I tried to talk about that. I tried to say, look, guys, this game has two identities. Is it an MMO or is it an ARPG? You're wrong on this subject. I don't care about your assertions and your platitudes. Make an argument. Either make an argument or don't say anything. Seriously, you're wrong about this. Why? Why? Everybody who likes cheeseburgers is stupid. What? Okay, that's a nonsensical statement. That's just me stating something. Why? Like, argue the point. Jiminy Christmas. I'm telling you, anytime I've covered this game, I just deal with sweeping platitudes because you're having fun. I'm having fun, so you're wrong. A lot of people are watching and streaming it, so you're wrong. Look at the Metacritic scores. Look at the sales. You're wrong. Huh? I don't understand. What? Why aren't you engaging with the discussion? I get that you're having a good time. I get that you're having fun. I'm not trying to take that away from you. I outlined 3 categories. The seasonal format coming under scrutiny and criticism. I told y'all that was going to happen. There's even hardcore players that aren't happy with their approach to it because of the Renown situation. Then I talked about the damage resistance scaling and how it's making people do the low-level loophole because you're stronger at lower levels. You kill things faster at lower levels, so they bring somebody into Helltides who's lower than them, or a dungeon or a world boss. Because it doesn't make any sense. And then I talked about how the game is not ready. There's plenty of evidence that this thing was not ready for launch. Season 1 comes a month and a half later. They don't even have ladders ready to go. They've had to disable things and turn things off because of problems and bugs. They've had to nerf, and they've had to shut certain aspects of the game off. Why? Because it wasn't ready. I'm not saying that the game is broken or is unplayable. You guys are hearing not ready, and I think you're reacting as if I'm saying this game is garbage, it's broken, it's unplayable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, bro, this game was so clearly not ready to go. It was just, that's all. I don't even feel like that's that scandalous to say. I feel like my opening monologue was so tame. It was so tame and like basic. It wasn't that scandalous, you know? You just want to complain about every little thing? What, like platitudinous chatters who don't say anything worth reading? The seasonal format is something they should look at adjusting, says Deadly Dad Gaming. Just let people advance their battle pass with any type of character they want. They won't break the seasonal format that they have. You should also let people progress the seasonal journey, Deadly Dad Gaming. You already can you can progress the seasonal journey and the seasonal battle pass in the campaign. You can do it. Do you know how? You have to make a seasonal character and then go play the campaign. That doesn't make any sense. If you're what that means is that the seasonal journey and the seasonal battle pass can be completed by just playing the game. That's great. Just connect the dots. Just say, oh yeah, somebody in the Eternal Realm can do that too. Come on. That's all you got to do. That's like, just connect the dots. Right now, it makes the most sense. If you're early in the game like me and you kind of fell out with the game, it makes more sense for me to just wait, create a seasonal character, and then play through the campaign. I'm hitting 3 birds with 1 stone. I'm getting to do the campaign, I'm getting to do the seasonal journey, and I'm getting to do the battle pass. I'm getting to do all of them. That seems like such an easy request. I feel like people are talking to me like I'm asking them to cut out their own kidney. It's like, bro, that's I feel like I'm going nuts because I feel like that's such a basic and such a low level request. You're trying to change the game. What? No, I'm not. I could just wait for season 1 to start and essentially do what I want to do. I can basically do what I want to do. I just have to wait till the first season to start. That, again, just doesn't make any sense to me. Why do they structure it this way? Zubair, I don't know. I for the life of me, I'm just going to continue to go back to, I don't think this game was ready. I think they just kept things as it was because they knew the core base, the core player base would think it was fine. It's all self-imposed. What's all self-imposed? Coffee noties? Did any coffee noties go off and I just not hear it? I don't have my headphones on. I don't like wearing my headphones unless I absolutely have to. Hang on a second. For the record, Lono is not saying cut out your own kidney. I'm certainly not saying that. Yes, we had a coffee order this morning. I don't know who it was. I can't see your username. I can just see your name and your email address. Thank you very much. Somebody ordered some coffee. Did it not pop up? It should have popped up. Mitch says, question, I want to know your thoughts. Would using your Eternal character be a shortcut to the Battle Pass? How tied to progression do you think Season 1 will be? Just curious. I don't know, because the way they described it, Mitch, it sounds like just playing the game will do both the seasonal journey and the Battle Pass. So I don't know. Think about how slow everything is when you're high level, right? Like going from 85 to 100 is apparently the halfway point, which is insane to me when they added up all the XP, right? So I guess the question would be, If I'm a level 85 and it's taking me a long time to level, would the amount of XP I get at that stage of the game blast through the battle pass and the seasonal journey? I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't just scale it, right? Why not just scale it and say this is the most XP you can earn on the battle pass? Like, that doesn't seem like a difficult thing to do. Yo, Asian Slick Slaya became a subscriber over on Kick and gifted one to Kyber Drog. Thank you so much for doing that, man. We're working our way towards getting that verified check mark over here on Kick, so thanks for doing that. That helps. Every new sub helps. Gifted subs are great. They don't help with the verification, but brand new ones do when people do it on their own. So I could totally see that being the pushback. Like, I think Mitch is kind of getting at what there's potentially an issue with, hey, when you're level 71, the amount of XP you're getting per minute is too high. The enemies and the missions in the areas, you're going to complete the battle pass. Now, the seasonal journey wouldn't be completed by XP. It's completed by you doing stuff. It tells you, go do this, check. Go do that, check. It's almost like a bunch of bounties in the form of chapters. So I don't think you would blast through the seasonal journey just because you were higher level. But I do think you might potentially just blast through the battle pass, because I think in their mind, and this is a design decision that they made, the battle pass is designed for people to essentially hit it at level 0. So the XP is scaled in a way where it'll just sync up with the battle pass. I don't feel like that's a very difficult thing to fix, right? I don't want to armchair dev and act like, oh, it's an easy fix, but that's basically a math equation. You just have to create a conversion that says if an Eternal Realm character is doing this, you take their XP and you run it through a conversion equation that says, here's how much Battle Pass XP that equals. You ran a dungeon and you killed whatever amount of enemies and you got 100,000 XP. Well, we can't have you complete the battle pass in one dungeon. That would be stupid. So they would just ratio it down. That may not be an option right now. DK Bager with another single gifted. Always pushing the line. Thank you so much for doing that, DK Bager. I don't know why Behemoth isn't showing on the... Oh, because it hasn't fallen off yet, I think. Thank you, DK Bager. Let's bump this to 28. He's trying to set somebody up with the... I want to go back to calling it the layup. It sounded cooler than alley-oop. Layup sounded cooler. Eddie Rodriguez with 3 months says, hit that like button, folks. Thank you so much for coming back in. Blizz looks like they just don't know where to go with this game at the moment. They want their speeches on streams to be funny, but to me, it's blatant demonstration of a lack of professionalism. I don't care about any of that. They can have fun on the stream. That's totally fine. Guys, there's over 800 people here. If you're enjoying the dialogue, listen, I welcome disagreement. Don't just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Defend it from a point of like, this is why damage scaling resistance makes sense in the base game and in leveling. This is why it's okay to reset your character every season. Like, engage in dialogue. Don't just tell me I'm wrong or dismiss what I'm saying. Like, let's have a conversation. There's too much gatekeeping and dismissing about this topic for whatever reason. It's like, it's only new players. It's only people who don't really know what ARPGs are. It's like, stop that. I played every Diablo since the first one. Knock that off, right? I've been playing Diablo since some of the people defending this probably didn't even play the earlier Diablo games. Like, you probably got hooked on Diablo 3. A lot of the people, because they love the seasonal format. I'm missing some super chats here. James Tiberius Kirk with a $20 tip. Lona was right when casuals and seasons were mentioned, and I agreed before launch. One of the key comments was from a casual player who said, what do you mean I have to start again? I only get to play an hour a night. Like the thumbnail and the title of this stream says, I tried to tell you that was going to be a problem, and everybody hand-waved it off and said it's always been this way. Another gifted member from Joker, setting us really, really close to that 30, the 30 layup. You can do seasons like Destiny where you keep everything and nothing seems new, or do you like Diablo with a fresh start? I don't see an in-between that's better. You're going to want to watch I reacted to Riker's video. You're doing the same thing Riker did. I think you're presuming a false dichotomy. you're presuming a false binary. I'm just asking for the choice. You do realize that I may choose to use my Eternal Realm character in Season 1, but then when Season 2 rolls around, I might say, hey, you know what? I feel like my Necromancer's kind of where I want him. I'm going to do a new seasonal character. It'll be fun. It'll be sped up. It's got that new car smell. I like the seasonal format. I'm just asking for the option. That's what keeps getting lost in this. You're presuming a false binary. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I'm not trying to take your toy away. Gamers get really protective. They're like, they like grab the game and like, no, don't touch it. I'm like, hey, calm down. You don't need to be a feral animal about this. Calm down. I'm just saying, can I have the choice to not do that? You want to do that? Have a ball, brother. I might join you in Season 2 and make a new character. I just don't want to right now. And plenty of other people feel the same way. Another gifted member from DK Beggar. He sets up the layup for one of the big boys to slam home a 20. DSB with 11 months. Welcome back. And James Tiberius Kirk with another super chat, $10. I got 2 tunes to 100 in Diablo 4. Running Nightmare Dungeon 70 to 80. Yep, bored. Not playing Season 1. Give me more Blizzard. And fix your server issues. This is not a game for casuals. No way, no how. Detective C says, did we ever get an answer from our discussion last week on seasonal access after Rod's tweet? Yes. I included that in my show open. I DM'd Adam Fletcher, and he confirmed if you've not beaten the campaign yet, you can boot up day 1, Season 1, make a seasonal character, and just start the campaign. And it will progress the seasonal journey and the battle pass. That sounds way more appealing to me. I get to do everything. I get to do it all with one character. Mitch says, I see both sides here. I think there'd be an issue if Blizzard did use Eternal Character plus scaling. People would complain about it taking ages, and players would start new characters anyway. Well, I feel, Mitch, you would want to have it work at the same pace. And this is something I think is getting lost in this too. I want to know what's their philosophy for the Battle Pass. Because Battle Passes, from where I sit, are usually supposed to just be like a passive grind in the background where you're just getting little dings every other day or every day. Oh yeah, it's a reason to keep coming back. I almost have the next thing. I'm almost to level 20 on my Battle Pass. It's that tether to the game. It's a meta progression arc. You get lost in the weeds sometimes in these games, right? Like, I don't really know what I'm doing or what I'm looking for. I'm just leveling. But the Battle Pass just gives you that arc of, yeah, I'm almost to level 25. And when you get to level 25, I get that really cool helmet. And that's enough for some people. I don't want to be presumptive, but it's like, do hardcore players give a flying hoot about Battle Passes? In my experience, hardcore players want best in slot. They want those rare items. They want to be the first to get to whatever level. They want to be the first to fight whatever activity that's really hard. They don't care about a battle pass where at the end of the battle pass, everybody has the same stuff. Battle passes, in my estimation, in interacting with gaming communities over the years, battle passes appeal to more casually minded players. So it should just be sort of happening as you play. It doesn't need to be long and drawn out. That was a criticism that people gave to Fall Guys. Fall Guys is a really fun, goofy bean game, right? And they made the battle pass so slow, it frustrated a lot of people. It was like, this isn't supposed to be a grind. It's just a lighthearted game with beans in it. What are we doing here? The battle passes are replacing what they already had as an objective wheel and seasons to unlock stuff. So yes, they will care. Now, hang on. No, it's not. That's not true. You're describing the seasonal journey, Solemn. The seasonal journey is exactly what that objective thing was in Diablo 3. You go through and complete the seasonal journey and you get stuff, and then the battle pass is just like the free and the premium track. Ask us to engage. Only engages in questions that allow you to repeat yourself 20 times. This is a joke stream. Maybe your expectations are a joke. There's 800-something people here. I'm not going to engage with everything you say. I've never even seen you here before. If you feel like your fifis are getting hurt because daddy's ignoring you, I can't help you with that. Maybe repeat yourself. I don't try to ignore people. I'm just grabbing the best comments I can while also thanking Super Chats, while also looking at Discord, while also looking at Kick. Like, forgive me if I didn't see your genius remarks. That's why I stopped playing D2 seasonally. The last season of the year was always catch-up mechanics, and I could do it all at once. Bunch of suckers playing daily. And the objectives are tied to the battle pass now. No. Nope. No, they're not. That's not true. The objectives are not tied to the battle pass. They're separate. They're separate things, Solemn. They're completely separate things. They even talked about that. They said that if you want to speed up your battle pass experience, you can't get to the, what's it called? There's a currency that you have to earn just by playing. You can't speed up the battle passing. There's a currency that they considered it paying for power, right? They considered it paying for power. So like, if you're going to pay your way through the battle pass, you're not going to get to this seasonal. I'm sorry, not seasonal. There's a currency that I can't remember the name of it. It's in the battle pass, and like, you can't get to that any earlier. The ashes. Thank you, Paul, over here on Kick. The ashes cannot be earned by speeding up the battle pass with actual real money because they didn't want that to be viewed as pay for power. The battle pass is literally just play the game, brother. XP moves it. The objectives, the seasonal journey is completely separate from it. As you're doing those and unlocking those things, you're getting things in the seasonal journey. They're not the same. So the season has objectives and the battle pass has separate objectives. The battle pass doesn't have objectives, Solemn. It's a battle pass! You just play! What are you doing? What are you doing, Solemn? You're making me scream over here, off the mic. Solemn, it's a battle pass. You just play. That's all you do. That's all battle passes do. You just play. I feel like I'm playing cards with my brother's kids. What is happening? That's all you do in a battle pass. The best comments are the ones that allow you to repeat yourself. I've seen numerous good comments or questions. Point them out. Make your own argument. So what's your recommendation? Should I wait for the season 1 to come out? Right now, I think that's one of the best things to do, yes. One of the best things to do is just make a seasonal character season 1 and just play through the campaign, yes. He said the battle pass is tied to seasonal objectives in the interview, did he not? When did he say that? I've not seen them say that. When do they say that? I've never seen them say that. When they were taking questions during the one seasonal stream, they never said that. They were talking about the fact that, like, you would have to get just regular old XP to get the ashes. You couldn't buy your way to the ashes. That doesn't communicate anything about objectives to me, unless I completely missed it. The battle pass is just a traditional battle pass, homie. You just play the game. Dylan with 16 months in a VIP. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. Love the live service debates, Lono. Thanks for being here, Dylan. Battle pass equals money, not just a battle pass. It's another stream of income for the developers. When does the season start? I don't know if they've set an official date yet. I thought they said like halfway through July or something. Middle or late July. As a longtime Diablo player, I finished a campaign. I'm putting the game down until Season 1 drops. Hopefully they fix some issues. Battle Pass XP is not player XP, though. The seasonal objectives give you Battle Pass XP. Surely you don't just grind a dungeon to progress XP. The seasonal journey, this is, Paul's got the quote here. The seasonal journey will be invaluable in helping you quickly level up your Battle Pass. Okay, so if the two are tied together, that doesn't change the discussion because you can progress both of them by playing through the campaign. So you're literally just playing the game. You're not doing any, like, yes, there's going to be things in the seasonal journey that you got to like go out on your own and find and do like they did in the past. So they are linked, but they also made it sound like you can just play the game and it'll level up. Like it's going to help you do it faster is what this sounds like to me. It will help you quickly level up your battle pass. You don't have to do it. They should do 2 realms. One Eternal Realm with seasonal content without ranking, and the second with fresh start ranking. When asked, would they be able to make progress on the Battle Pass with an Eternal Realm character, and they responded with, no, the Battle Pass is tied to seasonal objectives, so you need to make a seasonal character. Okay. You're putting your finger exactly on the problem, Solemn. That answer doesn't even make any sense. That answer doesn't make any sense at all. Because the fact that they're saying that is they're defending why you need a new character. But you can take a brand new character, play the campaign, and according to them, that will progress both the seasonal journey and the battle pass. It's, again, I feel like they don't even know what they're doing. It's like they don't even know their own game. They say things that sound contradictory to each other. I can't make them make sense. That's the point. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even think they understand it. Appreciate that, Rain Man. Diablo IV seasonal content will not be tied directly to the campaign content and will instead explore new storylines centered in the Diablo universe. Right there, Sean, is another reason why Eternal Realm characters want to be able to do it. Listen to what you just said. New storylines you can't experience them unless you're on a seasonal character. That doesn't make any sense. It's like, I have a character right now. I'm playing through the campaign. I know there's expansions coming, and your seasonal content's going to deliver new storylines. I got to make a brand new character to experience those storylines. They said those storylines have new and returning characters. How are they returning characters if I'm on a brand new character? Like, hey, remember me? Nope. I just made this person. My guy that's 78 and did all the work, and he interacted with all the NPCs, he would remember you, but I don't know who the frick you are. I'm a level 2 sorcerer. Like, even right now, we can't even get consensus on exactly what's the purpose of it and how it works. And you got multiple direct quotes. Yes, it will progress it for objectives like general kills and stuff, not just XP gain for the battle pass. I've been keeping up with a lot of people talking about this. Okay, let me explain something, Solemn. You clearly have looked at this more than I have, because I didn't know that. I want you to think about the average player. I've watched their streams. I've covered this game. And y'all are putting stuff in chat, and I'm like, those sound like 3 different things to me. Solemn put something, my man Sean Moore put something, and then Paul put something over here on Kick, and none of it sounds like they're describing the same system. I don't understand. So I have to make a new character in order to do the seasonal journey, and then that seasonal journey will progress the battle pass. But I can pay to speed up the battle pass. But if I pay to speed up the battle pass, I can't get to the ashes early. I have to earn those with XP. What? None of that makes any sense. Is it a battle pass that's progressed by XP? Or is it a battle pass that's an extension of the seasonal journey? Which is it? Does anybody else feel confused right now? I feel confused. This doesn't make any sense. I guarantee, outside of some stupid daily challenges like we see in Battle Royales, there's no seasonal challenges tied to Battle Pass progression. So are ashes tied to the journey? I don't know. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always confused. That I'm completely with. It doesn't make sense. You can't say a game wasn't ready just because they disable and nerf builds. Developers use people who play their game to make build adjustments for broken builds. You can have that opinion. My opinion is they didn't even have base level class design ready, homie. Day one the game came out, they didn't even have early class balance set up. That's not a game that's ready for launch. It doesn't have to make sense. There's going to be seasons. If you want to experience new seasonal content, you need a new character. D3 had the same thing, and there wasn't any crying then. No one's crying. No one's crying. We're having a discussion. That's what adults do. Join if you want to be one. You want to take passive swipes? I don't have any tolerance for that. Get in the conversation and be an adult like everybody else is. Like, even people that aren't agreeing with me aren't trying to take swipes. You know what Diablo 3 didn't have when it launched? It's going to blow your mind. It didn't even have seasons when it launched. Isn't that interesting that they added something that wasn't there? They changed something to help the game evolve. Isn't that crazy? That's bonkers. That you would defend something that was literally an evolutionary step for the game. But then you're going to argue that nothing should change. It should just stay this way. This is how it was in Diablo 3. Really? Diablo 3 had a battle pass? That's news to me. Huh. It's almost as if they're adding more and doing more. And that expectations in the general landscape of gaming are different, especially when you consider seasonal battle pass content. Like, if that's going to be your main driver to get people to come back, you can't just hand wave and say, well, this is how it was in Diablo 3. No, that's demonstrably false. That isn't true. You're defending it by just stating something that's not even true. It wasn't this way in Diablo 3. In Diablo 3, you had a seasonal grind for those green gear sets and cosmetics. You didn't have a battle pass. The introduction of the battle pass is like the one thing that I said, this is going to trip people up. They're not going to get it. They're not. Don't forget that your average viewer here is likely 20 years younger than you, and well, that's 20 years of blissful ignorance. I played D3 for months after release and never experienced seasons. Yeah, because it took a year for seasons to come out. I'm glad the other D game refused to say the same because that's just the way it is, BS. As long as you don't speed up the battle pass, you'll get ashes. Is that what they're saying? Right. And man, it's so hard to have this discussion because there's people that just dismiss the criticism and say, this is how it's always been. Quit crying. You don't understand ARPGs. You must not be a Diablo fan. And it's like, what? Huh? No one's crying. You have players who want to give you $10 every 90 days. Listen to them. Thank you, Paul. Like, does this back here look like I'm not a big Diablo fan? Does this here look like I'm not a big Diablo fan? Like, you just think I'm some ninny dum-dum casual that's like, I like to slay demons. This game just isn't really doing it for me. Get the frick out of here. Like, if we really want to start comparing, did you play Diablo 1? How many times did you play Diablo 2? How much did you play Diablo 3? Did you play Diablo 3 before the seasonal format hit? It sounds to me like you and many other people got hooked by Diablo 3 seasons, and you think that is what encompasses Diablo. I hate to inform you, but that's a small section of the story and history of that franchise. That's not all that encompasses Diablo. And the people running to Reddit to complain and get upset are not dumb casuals either. They're heavily invested players that don't like the way some of this has been set up. Blizzard devs are willing to make some changes, but overall they are pretty strong-headed in their game designs. Even when they make changes, they don't do too much, and they don't do it very often. I would say that Loot 2.0 and the seasonal format is proof that what you're saying is not true. Maybe traditionally or historically, maybe in certain circles, I don't think they're going to take that attitude. If they have a measurable amount of people that are like, I'm not buying the battle pass because I can't do it. I'm not going to buy the battle pass because I don't want to start over. If it hits their bottom line, they will make a change. Arguing against that, I think, is foolish. I think that they will. If they notice, they're like, yeah, so our conversion rate on battle pass is way lower than we were hoping. They'll make a change. I'm not even talking about the meat and potatoes of the game. I'm talking about money. Launch in August 29th, 2014. More than 2 years without season. Oh, it took 2 years for the first season to start. I thought it was a year later. Are you sure about that? Season 1 launched in August 29th of 2014. Okay. May of 2012. So yeah, it was almost exactly 2 years. I thought it was 1 year. I don't know why I thought that. Was it they did something a year later, did they not? I thought 1 year into the life cycle of Diablo 3, they made a big change. Was it the removal of the auction house and the expansion? Maybe I'm thinking of Reaper of Souls. Maybe I'm conflating the two things together. Reaper of Souls released. No, Reaper of Souls was 2014 as well. I swear they did something 1 year into the life cycle of Diablo 3 that was viewed as like, that was a good turning point. And then the Seasons obviously was the point where everyone said, Seasons combined with Loot 2.0. I swore it was a year. Maybe I just got it wrong. In all of the research and monologues and argumentation that I've done, I just made a mistake. That actually makes my argument stronger, by the way. I was mistaken in the wrong direction. It took them 2 years to get Seasons. It took them 2 years to get Reaper out. So Diablo 3 sat for 2 years without any of the stuff that you claim is, it's just always been this way. No, it hasn't. Yeah, when did they remove the auction house? I thought they did that at the exact same time as... Like, I thought Loot 2.0 and Seasons and the removal of the auction house, like, all happened at the same time. Maybe I have the history wrong. But you have the candle. Oh, frick you, Diaz. You know the point that I was making. I was saying, like, I'm not new to Diablo. Oh, because I had a wiki stat wrong, I'm not a fan of Diablo? Really? Like, frick off with that attitude. Seriously. Like... You guys make it personal. You make it personal. Engage with the argument. Instead of trying to dismiss people as being like, oh yeah, you're not a big Diablo fan. You don't really understand ARPGs. And I'm like, oh, you think? I played every Diablo up till now. I figured out how to install Diablo 2 on an external hard drive and took it to work with me so I could play in the mall when I worked at AT&T. I played Diablo 3 with my wife multiple times before we even tried seasonal characters. The auction house died first. Like many people, Diablo 3, I walked away. I was like, this is stupid. Everybody was buying god tier stuff. Not like a sarcastic comment, not a dig. It was a dig. What's your KD? I did what everybody else did in Diablo 3. I walked away. And then when I tried to come back, somebody had hacked my account and stole my monk because of the stupid auction house. So forgive me for not remembering the history of a game that, like everybody else, we all walked away from. We said, this game's trash. This game isn't worth playing. I had played with a couple of my friends, and then I came back, and everybody had bought all of the best gear. And I was like, what the frick is going on? How'd you guys do all that? And they walked me through it, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing this game. That's not the Diablo that I remember. That's not Diablo 2. That's not why I played Diablo 2. The point is, the criticisms that are being lobbied against this game cannot be just hand-waved away as if you aren't a Diablo fan or you just don't understand ARPGs. I don't think that's an adequate response at all. I don't think it's an adequate response. They put something in so you could use your max character a year in. I don't remember that. Like I said, I stopped playing. Like many other people, I put Diablo 3 down because it felt like a completely burned away player incentivization. It was like, why am I going to play this game? Just grind gold and buy best in slot. People are forgetting it took a few months before starting to realize how the subpar loot drop itemization and the real money auction house were making the game a pay-to-win crap experience. Yeah, like I don't remember how far I got with my monk. I just remember I took a little bit of a break because of something with school, and when I booted the game back up and got into a group with my friends, I was like, where did you guys get all this gear? And they explained it to me. I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing. I did the same thing in Borderlands 2 when they figured out how to mod weapons, and they were all running around with black. They were like these black weapons, and you couldn't see them. They were like invisible, and they one-shot everything. I was like, I'm not playing the game with you if that's what you're going to do. That ruins the game. That makes the game unplayable. There's no reason to play a looter when you don't need any of the loot. I think all of your criticisms are valid. My comments are based around what Blizzard's willing to address and change. That does not tend to be their strong suits. Right. Solemn, I get where you're coming from. You're saying they're strong-headed. They're not gonna give in to this very easily. That's fine. But when someone's gonna dismiss and be like, you're just crying, or you just don't want to play the game, or you don't really know what ARPGs are, I'm like, we're not engaging with the discussion. We're not even having a conversation at that point. Now we know why Lono doesn't read. Reading for school killed his monk. It was hard to get my account back. Blizzard straight up locked my account. Somebody stole it, and then I guess what were they doing? Like bot farming and trying to sell stuff for real money or something, I think is what they were doing. The thing is, they made a really cool and good MMO if they would let me play it as an MMO. Am I the only gamer enjoying the game without thinking about the previous installments? Well, that's the thing, Chrono Vault. I actually only compare it to Diablo 3 in one particular category, and that's vertical progression through your skills. I don't like how they set up the skills at all in this. I think people forget how enjoyable it was to level a character in Diablo 3. Because you would get to a certain point, and you were like, oh, I just got a really cool rune for an ability I've not been using. Let me try that out. So you were constantly sort of treading and retreading and trying out these different abilities, and it kept it fresh. In this game, I basically have my abilities, and I'm only level 26. You understand what that means, right? That means that I've got to play 100-something hours and just never, ever change anything. I'm always using the same abilities. I think that's what I primarily compare to Diablo 3. Virtually everything else, I don't run back and say, oh, it was so much better in the past. I'm actually trying to get the game to evolve forward and say, this game could offer, on one hand, it could offer a really, really good seasonal MMO vibe. I think they're missing a very easy opportunity to establish like a seasonal MMO vibe. Are you planning on only playing one character out of the 5? I'm someone who is good for 5 seasons because there's 5 different classes. Here's the problem with that, Diaz. Let's say I want to do what you're describing. That means I never really get to finish a character. I never really get to finish a character. What I do with the character is I say, season 1 just started. I gotta put down my necromancer. Let's say I got him to 61. I got to put him down. I got to grind this new season. Now, depending on how efficient the season is, can I go back to him at any point and keep working on my necromancer? Or am I going to run out of time? Season's going to end. Oh, I got to go to season 2. Oh, I got to go to season 3. Do you see? That's one of the fundamental problems here. Yo, King Mike with a brand new membership all on his own. He bumps the line to 31. DK Baker set up the layup for somebody to slam home a 20. And King Mike says, I'll come in and move the line. Thank you so much. Welcome in, King Mike. So, do you understand the point that I'm making? It's like, and think about the extremely low items. Low drop rate items. Incredibly rare items. What purpose do they serve? What purpose do they serve? Instead of me staying with the character and going for best in slot and min-maxing, it's like, the mechanism to keep me playing is you're basically asking me to move on to another character. Yo, it's good, GC Plugs. $3 months is a long time. I'm not going to pretend it's not a long time, but now think about what you're saying. I basically have to play this game like it's my part-time job. If I want to have completed characters, get them all the way leveled out, get them all the way min-maxed or best in slot, any of those things that you want to do with an established character that you have, I basically have to eat, sleep, and breathe Diablo in order to accomplish any of those aims. Oops, sorry. Items that take months to get for characters that have months to live. Right. It's. I've tried to say this before. They're philosophically, the game has a dissonance within it. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It was 2014. I totally misremembered. Yeah, I've always thought my telling of Diablo's history was always a year later they turned the game around. It was 2 years later. No wonder people were willing to try out seasons. It had been 2 years since the game launched. I really wish I could sit down with you in person, have a beer, and discuss these things out. I'm on mobile and at work, can't properly convey the way and why I enjoy the game and currently see a brighter future ahead of this game. Deadly Dad Gaming, I think people always misunderstand criticism as criticism of you, or you couldn't possibly be enjoying this game. I've never once tried to act like nobody should be enjoying this game, or like it's insane that anybody's enjoying this game. At the conclusion of my monologue, I said, I think they've built a great foundation. I think they have built a wonderful foundation. They can build on top of this. I think listen, if you take damage resistance scaling, if you take that out of world tier 1, I'd already be happier. That would immediately make me happier. I just keep feeling stronger, keep moving and grooving. And if I get bored, guess what I can do? I can jump up the world tier if it feels too easy, if it feels like I'm just blasting through paper mache. But again, that decision right there it makes no sense for world tier leveling, base level experience. It doesn't make any sense. And then when I look at the seasonal thing and the battle pass and the seasonal journey, brother, if I don't care about the ladder race, just let me do that with my Eternal Realm character. I'm just trying to stay in your world and get stuff. It's literally that simple. You make time for what you want to do, but that's reductionist. It's not as simple as like, well, if you really wanted it, you would do it. No, as far as time in, reward out, players are not going to say, I would really like a max level character in Diablo. Okay, let's imagine that they come back and say, it's going to take 1,000 hours. Wait, what? Yeah, it's going to take 1,000 hours. If you really wanted it, you'd make it a priority and you'd get it done. What? No. Like, that's... You're asking too much of me. Want can dash on the rocks of requirement. I really want to play this game and max out a character. And they're like, it's going to take about 150 hours for you to do that. What? I don't want to do that. That seems way too long. That seems like an MMO. What if they... See, don't you see? It's like, well, if the comeback would be like, well, it basically is an MMO. Yeah. It's worth investing all that time in that character. Yeah. There's really rare items that can drop. There's these seasons that come around and they give you extra stuff to do and they give you extra sources of XP. It's awesome. But instead the comeback is well, if you really wanted it, you'd go for it. Oh, okay. Well, then what's this seasonal thing? Oh, that character that it's taking you a really long time to level and invest in? Yeah, you have to stop playing that character. Yeah, you got to start a new one. Wait, huh, what? What? Why? Don't you see? It's like the two systems are in conflict with each other. You have damage resistance scaling during the base game and during the leveling, which slows things down and makes you feel weaker. Leveling's incredibly slow to the point that level 85 is halfway to level 100 because of how much XP it takes to get there. And then, in the midst of me working on all those things and pushing through all of that, if I want to continue to play the game and enjoy the new content, I have to put that character down and start a new one. I'm telling you, the simplistic hand-waving, because you put in 5 hours a night and you have multiple characters maxed out, and this is how it's always been, I don't see this landing on lots of people long-term. I think that's maybe what we're missing here. We're missing the forest for the trees. I'm mainly arguing about the ongoing model is convoluted and self-contradicting, and it doesn't make sense, and it will drive people away. I think a lot of the seasonal stuff is designed to help the casual player level up quicker and enjoy the game more. Oh, wait, sorry, I missed... something in Discord popped up. Because there is more bonus XP and such during the seasonal campaign. I mean, at one level, I think you're right, but the problem is Deadly Dad Gaming is a casual gamer. Are they going to want to do that? Picture casual gamers right now, homie. Picture them. They're playing, and they're leveling. I think their brain is going to break when Season 1 hits. Because, you know, this is what's remarkable about this conversation. The people that are talking about this on Twitter and YouTube and Reddit and forums, they are not casual players. They are not. They're more dedicated. They're more tuned in. And even they're like, I don't know about this, man. I don't know if I want to do this. Casual players, I don't even think they know about it yet. They don't even know. They've not even... Because they're just playing. They're not coming to YouTube and Reddit and forums. They're getting home from work. They're getting home from work and they're just playing and they're just grinding. And all of a sudden, Season 1's going to start. They're going to see the advertisements for it. They're going to see the battle pass and the requirement to make a new character. We haven't even seen the actual landfall of this yet. The landfall of this realization has not hit the casual player base yet. It has hit the more... I mean, you could say they're maybe a little less hardcore, but man, homie, if you're going to Reddit and YouTube and Twitter and forums, maybe you can only put in a casual amount of hours, but I wouldn't describe you as a casual player. You need to make a video titled, "You've just discovered you need to make a new character. Here's how to deal with the pain." What's wild is the seasons you're turned off by D4. All my Destiny friends have moved over to D4 and feel it's a breath of fresh air for them. Such contrasting views on how they and you think the game is going or should be handled. Yeah, but knowing Destiny players, that won't last because they'll do it once or twice, and I guarantee you they're going to start to say, I don't, there's no staying power. I'm always on a fresh character. I'm always on a new character. Who cares about rare drops and low drop items? I'm always moving to the next character. I'm not bringing anything with me. I've seen plenty of Destiny players balk at the idea of making a new character. I don't think it's getting universal praise from that audience. A lot of members of that audience are saying, wait, huh? I don't want to make a new character. There are some that think it's a breath of fresh air, but they haven't done it yet. Craig says, casual player here, level 51. I would play this game much longer if I could take my current character into seasons. I'm a Destiny 2 player. I'm not even doing it for Season 1 for Diablo 4. I call 100% BS on that, says Creature, because the seasons haven't happened yet. Those Destiny people have to make a new character. They're going to nope the F out. Community revolted over yearly sunsetting, and rightfully so. You can bring gear with you at the finish of seasons. Right, but Veeder, you're always taking that person and that gear and just dumping it into the Eternal Realm. You're not really doing anything with it. Level 85 Necro, level 65 Rogue, and just stopped playing. Endgame is scarce. Helltide and the World Bosses on repeat. Nightmare Dungeons on repeat. They're not going to be willing to reset characters. Yeah, they didn't like sunsetting gear, but they're going to sunset their whole character. You can rebirth your existing character and keep the stash. Right, Nightshade. Again, if you think rebirthing a character... I'm trying to pop my back. If you think rebirthing a character is going to convince a casual, I know this is all speculation at some level of like, what are casual players, going to accept? But I don't even think that the seasonal reset, I don't even think it's made landfall yet. It hasn't. I think it's a wave out there forming right now. And the fact that really plugged in players on the internet, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit and forums, those super plugged in people, even they're split on this. What's that tell you about the casuals that don't do any of that? What do you think they're going to think? My wife is ticked she spent money on the deluxe edition after hearing about the battle pass only leveling for new seasonal characters. She only likes a sorcerer and doesn't want to start anew. Exactly, Lona. I'm attached to my necro lady. Awesome. Read my message. Lona read my message. Morning, brother. Listen, I try to read everybody's comments. I wasn't ignoring people earlier. Right? I was not ignoring people earlier. I was literally trying to say, hey, this is what I'm saying. If you want to argue against it, argue against it. I wasn't seeing anybody making substantive arguments. They just kept telling me I was wrong. And it's like, well, why? I've been shortlisted for Black Desert Online Land of the Morning Light. Oh, is that like a new DLC coming out? The most terrifying thing coming from all of this is the people saying that they want MSABK deal to go through because of these problems. That doesn't make any sense to me. I would say they are almost trying too much to cater to all groups of gamers at once, and they haven't got it quite right yet, says Deadly Dad Gaming. If they continue to adapt and tweak their approach, they will land on the right path eventually. Here's the deal. Just imagine a world where they wave a wand and they say, we've heard your feedback. Existing characters can now progress the seasonal battle pass and the seasonal journey. We've had to scale the XP because you'll all be varying levels. So you will not be able to progress the battle pass any faster than someone that's like a level 0. Basically what they would need to do is make the battle pass and the seasonal journey sort of view you as if you were level 0 regardless of your level. Let's say they wave that magic wand and they push that out. That's not going to hurt the game at all. If you love a new season and you love starting over, buddy, you go to town. Make 8 characters a season. Lose your job because you played too much Diablo. Man, you do you, boo-boo. If they wave this magic wand, it ain't gonna do anything to you. That's the point. It would literally open the door wider so more people could come in every season and spend money. And they just keep on playing Diablo. Whole point of a seasonal journey and battle pass is to start over, according to you. But why does it have to be that? It's literally just new things to get. Why is the whole point of it to start over? Why? Terrible thought. Your battle pass level is in a season is your character level in said seasonal realm, which is why you can't do it in the eternal realm. Like, maybe, Techno, and again, that would, I think, that would create more argumentation in support of the idea that I've said, I feel like they built 2 games. It feels like they've built two games. There's the seasonal side of the game that has all of its own rules and all of its own systems, to the point that you can make a seasonal character and play the campaign, and it will progress the battle pass and the seasonal journey. It'll progress both. Make that make sense to me. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And then I feel like this team over here created the Eternal Realm. Oh yeah, the Eternal Realm. Really slow leveling. Takes forever to get to level 100. We have really, really low drop rates on items. That doesn't sound like a seasonal ARPG to me. That sounds like an MMO. Open world boss fights, really low drop rates on items, getting to max level takes forever. What? That doesn't sound like an ARPG where you're constantly making a new character. That sounds like an MMO. The guy with the wife who's playing only her sorcerer. So glad I'm not the only one who does not want to create new characters per season. Tell her to stick to her guns. T-Bone says, that's what I thought from the beginning. Your new seasonal character is your new battle pass or artifact from from Destiny 2. Right, like they basically built a harmonized system where everything they built only works if you're starting out with a level 0 character. Right? Like, I wonder if that's what the problem is, because I'm sitting here saying this seems like a pretty reasonable request, and the developers are thinking, yeah, we didn't build it that way. My gosh, everything's built around the idea of you starting with a level 0 character. We can't connect the dots that simply. We can't. To me, it feels like making an expansion for Skyrim and then saying, sorry, you got to make a new character because reasons. Imagine your argument being that's just how it works, and thinking it's solid. Miyako Best Girl says, new story content, new cosmetics, etc. Like the game already has scaling. Why force people to reset? What logical reason? Right, the whole game scales to you. That's another reason why I feel like a lot of the defense of this just falls flat. It's like the entire game scales to you. You're not making any sense. Is the seasonal XP boost and other bonuses going to make seasonal characters feel like less of a grind? Dylan, they had language. Paul found language, and he put it in my Kick chat, that said the seasonal journey will be invaluable in helping you quickly level your battle pass. So I think the way they've talked about it is if like you heavily focus on the seasonal journey, it will make the battle pass level faster. Maybe one new activity and some cosmetics, that's it. If seasons are anything like Diablo 3 and all the other ARPGs, the experience with your Eternal Realm character would be so trashed. Leveling again is the majority of the content, also almost no new story. But they've said that it's not going to be like Diablo 3 Solemn. They said there will be a seasonal quest line with new and returning characters that will continue to expand Sanctuary and your place in it. That's a rough paraphrase of what they've said. That does not sound like Diablo 3 Seasons. I haven't played much PoE, but what do you get at the end of the season? Just experience the new mechanics and have a new character? I'm not sure. It scales, but some builds don't give a crap. They still one-shot everything. Right, yeah, I've not even gotten to that discussion, Enzian, that there's like broken builds in Diablo 4. I've not even gotten into that. But again, Solemn, if it's up to the player, what difference does it make? Seriously, imagine a level 37 character that's nearing the end of the story in the campaign, and the season comes around, and they grab the seasonal journey in the battle pass, and they start working on the seasonal journey, in addition to finishing out the campaign. If you're like, oh, that's going to be a trash experience because the content's so thin. Most of the content's leveling. Okay, well, most of the people that have always pushed back on this have said to me, who cares, man? You can level so fast. You can be max level in a day or two in Diablo 3. Oh, okay, so what is the content then? What's the content? If I can hit max level in a day or two, Why make me do it over again? That doesn't make any sense. I literally have not found a strong argument in favor of it. It's all so flimsy. Everything's flimsy because people make self-refuting arguments. Oh, yeah, what's the big deal? You can hit max level in a day or two. Oh, you just invalidated the entire thing. Who the frick cares then? Let me just keep my character. Oh, yeah, it would be a trash experience. Yeah, the leveling is really the content. You know, all of the seasonal story quests and stuff, that's not really the content. What? So, I'm coming back every season, and the content's not good, and thin, and boring, and I'm coming back every season just to basically level. That's what you're telling me. When I say it that way, I mean that it would disappoint you, not that you shouldn't be allowed to do it. But how do you know it would disappoint me? If it would be... See, again, you're presuming and assuming a lot of things. If somebody's not done with the campaign yet, or they're not done fully leveling up, that's just additive content to the experience they're already having. How do you know they would find it disappointing? That's presumptive. You don't know that. They might think, this is great. I'm getting some extra stuff. I'm getting some extra XP. I'm getting some cool cosmetics or some cool items. This is awesome. This is additive to the experience that I was already having. It's presumptive to be like, oh, you'd find it disappointing. There's no way for you to know that. We're talking about casual players. Casual players aren't going to think that way. They're like, oh, neat. I got more stuff. D4 was mismarketed to a crowd of casual players because Bobby thought he'd have sold the company by now. I don't necessarily agree with that. Vulnerable, crit chance, crit damage on my rings and amulet. I can change my build whenever now, and I still feel strong. That's made the game a lot more enjoyable for me. That's in the context if they're similar to existing seasons. Casual players see an open shared world with loot. Right, like that, and Plumley's, I think that's what I've been trying to drive home to people is back when I argued it was a game made for no one and the game had a split identity and I said this is going to drive people away. Something that kept coming up was, what's this game? Describe the game to me. What kind of game is this? Do it. Describe it to me. It's extremely difficult to do. Because the base game, as you describe it, sounds like an MMO. It sounds like an open world, shared world, looter, dungeon crawler MMO. It's huge. You have a permanent impact on the world. You can play with other people. You see people in the open areas. There's world bosses. There's really long tail leveling. There's really, really rare items that have really low drop rates. If you describe that part of Diablo 4, it sounds like, oh my gosh, I could live in this game for forever. It'll take me forever to get one character all the way done. And then in walks the other side of the game and says, how you doing? Yeah, I'm the rhythmic content. And you got to make a new character to engage with me. I've got the battle pass, I've got the seasonal quest lines and seasonal mechanics and seasonal content. Yeah. You want to engage with me and you got to start over. Wait, I don't understand. Like, again, it's not an MMO. You can say it's not an MMO, as I've argued in the past. It's an MMO in disguise. It has all the hallmarks of an MMO. Victor with 26 months, and it's been a VIP. He says, been a heavy work and lurk mode the last few weeks, but always listening. As for Diablo 4 seasons, seems like a vocal minority who want to force everyone to play their way. Give me the choice. Player volition. Thank you, Victor. That's exactly right. Have you ever played AROGs? Oh, ARPGs? You're having a hard time. APRGs? Yes. That's always the quick jump. Oh, you don't really play ARPGs. No, actually, I've probably been playing them since before you played them. It's just that you got hooked by a seasonal format, and then you probably have lived in Path of Exile, and you think that's what ARPGs are. See, it's funny that people want to wax informed about ARPGs because they've played a whopping 2. And you think you're the authority on ARPGs, and I'm just some dummy who thought, oh, I'm going to play this cool new Diablo game. Homie, no. I've been playing since the very first game. And I'm not trying to gatekeep, but don't try to lecture me on what ARPGs are when you've played 2. And they've merely endorsed the current content trend that got popular in the last 5 years. That's not the history of ARPGs. That's not how ARPGs are defined. The way to build the game, it makes it hard to defend against people who want to keep their character going forward through seasons. Also, how to build the game makes it hard to justify keeping characters. How is Diablo IV? I never played any of the games. I think it's got a lot of good things going for it. I think sound design is awesome. I think if they turned off damage resistance scaling, I think the moment-to-moment action is really fun and exciting. I think the characters look great. I think the environments are great. I think it gets stale very quickly because of the lack of a sense of linear, upward progression through your skills. You basically pick your skills very early on and you use them the entire time. And the seasonal format is kind of what we've been debating again today. MMOs are games that have things I like. Games that aren't MMOs have things I don't like. Diablo 4 is a start-over MMO. It's a SOMO. An SOMMO. A start-over MMO. That's right. I've never said I'm an expert. I'm 45, and you're making an assumption. Talk about gatekeeping. Oh, so you asking me if I've ever played an ARPG before, you weren't going to attempt to say that I don't know about ARPGs or that's just how ARPGs are? What was your question leading to? What was your argumentation track that you were about to employ? You were going to be really receptive and talk about the wide variety of content models in ARPGs? What about live service games in general? Like, if you zoom out on Diablo 4 and you really get generic, it's an ongoing live service game, is it not? Ongoing live service models are not written in stone somewhere, right? That, some mystical finger didn't come down and etch it in the wall and say, no, this is how this has to be. There's plenty of different live service models out there. So if this is the only way for ARPGs, you number one, I think that's a weak argument. Number two, you can't substantiate that by looking at the history of ARPGs anyway. He's been spamming that for 5 minutes. The walkback's weaker than the Series S. Yeah, constantly asking me if I've played ARPGs, and when I'm like, I know where you're going to go, and then you say I'm presuming. Well, okay, what were you going to argue then? If it's a dungeon crawler, if it's an ARPG, I've tried to play it. The only one of recent days I haven't gone to play is Path of Exile because of needing a spreadsheet to build a character. And even they're trying to get rid of that because in Path of Exile 2, it's going to be a lot more user-friendly and accessible. Because I think Path of Exile is a very impressive-looking game. So they're trying to make their game more accessible. But any of the dungeon crawler ARPGs that have ever come out, I've typically dabbled in them or played them with my wife. Even what was the one called on Xbox? You could get through Xbox Arcade because we tried the demo of it first. Crimson Alliance, I think is what it was called. Yeah, and even action RPG isn't purely reserved to isometric dungeon crawlers. You could classify Destiny 2 as an action RPG. You could. They classified themselves as an action MMO. That's how Luke Smith described the game when they went independent and talked about the game's future. He described it as an action MMO. It gets muddy because you can start to grab classifications and qualifiers that generally represent parts and pieces of your game, but don't fully represent the whole picture. Read my last comment about skills. Let's talk about skills for a bit and why you feel like they are weak or don't scale to power. There's a lot of synergy between multiple skills in the trees with their passives that make those skills scale up in power as you level. Okay, that doesn't change facts. Your fact isn't a repudiation of another fact. It is a fact that the game's damage, resistance, scaling makes you weaker as you level. And bringing a low-level character with you into Hell Tides or world boss fights or dungeons, they will kill things faster than you do. You can point to that fact, you can crunch some numbers, and you can tell me, well, hang on a minute, if you do this or that or the third, it'll make you more efficient. None of that's a repudiation of anything I just said. I just walked through facts about the game. Those facts are not undone because, well, there's synergies, see? And as you level, these synergies get stronger, and no, that's not going to get over the arc. There's a damage resistance arc scale that you can't get over until you're min-maxing. You can't min-max while leveling in the base game. That's been my point since the beta. It's nonsensical. If you want to have damage resistance scaling so that you can min-max and overcome that, that belongs in the end game and the higher world tiers. It doesn't belong in the base game because it doesn't make any sense. I think the resistance scaling is here to show you as you go if your build's actually working or not. It forces you to go back and adjust things. But, go back and adjust what? There's nothing for you to change. There's nothing for you to do. You can't change anything. When you're level 26 and you feel like, man, my abilities aren't killing the enemies as fast as they used to. Oh, well, you got to go back and analyze your build. That's not going to change anything. It's a mathematical fact. That's what's so frustrating about this discussion. It is a mathematical, objective reality. You can't overcome it. You can't. You don't need to min-max during the campaign. You only need to keep your weapon at level. Get a new weapon. Up your item level. Yeah, that's the problem. Lower level characters do not do better in Nightmare Dungeons and Hell Tides. I'm not sure what you're getting at. What are you talking about? Players have already talked about doing that. If you bring a lower level character into world bosses and Hell Tides. Now, I didn't hear Hell Tides, right? I'm sorry. I didn't hear Nightmare Dungeons. But I saw numerous people talking about low level characters coming with you into world boss fights and Hell Tides help. Because they kill things faster. I didn't make that up. I didn't just like dream that up. I had that experience in the beta. I literally was playing in the beta. My wife was 10 to 15 levels below me. I was running a dungeon and she was melting everything. Just melting everything. Why? Because they're not resisting her as much. They're scaled to her, and at her point in the game, her journey in the game, she's not having as much resistance, so her damage output's more effective against the enemy. The enemy is treating her as if the enemy's at her level, and at that level, the damage resistance is not as high. Hell Tides are a level 50 minimum, right? And you could go in with somebody at 51 and somebody with 72, and their argument was they're getting less damage resistance at level 50 or 51. Damage scales on the party leader. Does it only do that once you roll over past 50? Because it certainly didn't do that in the early game. It was not scaling to the party leader. It was scaling to the person. Sorcerer was broken in the beta. She was a rogue, but okay. Path of Exile 2 is also part of the same client as Path of Exile 1, so you get to keep all your characters, loot, cosmetics, and microtransactions with the whole new game. It's basically a massive expansion. Lower level characters have actually carried level 100s with bricked builds due to scaling. It's an actual thing that happened with the first level 100 team. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, man. Eugene says, it's so weird seeing people who are normally reasoned, etc., become so weird when it comes to discussing this game. Yeah, I don't get it. I think people get protective of the game because they like it and they think I'm trying to change it. I don't think people are going to understand what you're saying without a chart or some kind of picture. Math like this seems to confuse people. It doesn't scale to the party leader. Yeah, the way the game is built, the way they've described the way the game is, it's always scaling to you. And they've talked about that recently. The beauty of that is your lower level person can just come with you. Having been at level 51 in the Helltides with a higher level friend, I can confirm I was getting melted in Helltides. Okay, I was just throwing out an example. I wasn't saying that you would survive or you wouldn't die faster. There are already examples of people that are going into content and a lower level player is helping because the resistance isn't as high. Forget the end game. You're moving the goalposts on me and running to extreme examples. That's quite literally not what I'm talking about. I've stated 15 times today, damage resistance scaling belongs in the end game. If you want to make it harder on me in the end game and I have to go outfit myself and min-max and search for best in slot, that makes sense in the end game where everything slows down. I've been talking about, and I've said this so many times, I feel physical pain saying it again for the umpteenth time. Damage resistance scaling has no business in the base game leveling experience. Is it hard to understand that sentence? Have I structured it like a Russian speaking through a translator? What's so difficult about understanding that? Oh, endgame and Helltides and Nightmare Dungeons. Damage resistance scaling has no business in the base leveling experience of the game. I don't care about level 70s and 50s and Helltides. I'm not talking about that. I've conceded 10 times over. That's endgame. That's fine. That's where that belongs. I shouldn't constantly feel like the action is slowing down when I'm going from level 20 to 40. That doesn't make any sense at all. I can't min-max in that environment. I can't. There's no content loop to do it. I'm just playing the game and leveling. There was a small group of players who reached level 100 without leveling their glyphs for their Paragon board. They're not strong enough to run Nightmare Dungeons or open world dungeons. It's so hard to have consensus and understanding about this discussion. I feel like when we discuss seasons, we just pass in the night. It's always been this way, and you would have an advantage, and you would do it faster. Just give me the choice. Why do you care about any of that? Oh yeah, damage resistance scaling doesn't make any sense in the base level experience and leveling, and you start bringing up endgame. What? The only time there should be level scaling is when you activate a world tier, and even then, the enemy's levels should be capped for each world tier. What you're saying doesn't align with their experience, so they don't understand the mechanics. What you're saying is a lower level character dragged into a higher level dungeon will make the higher level scale to the lower level character. No. Kind of. Okay. When I was playing with my wife, I was like a level 22 in the beta, and she was like a level 10 or 11. And we were in a dungeon, just playing through the game, and she was killing everything way faster than me. Because those enemies are like, that's a level 11 character. I'm a level 11 enemy to that level 11 character. I'm not resisting her as much. Dead. When they walk up to me, oh, level 22 character. I'm a level 22 enemy that is damage resisting at the curve that is set for my level and for his level. Now, I'm going to die slower because I'm resisting him more. His damage efficiency is curving down. Does that make sense? Please tell me I made that make sense. I feel like that's just so painfully obvious why that experience doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good. That's what my wife's character has to look forward to. Oh, as I level, I can't wait to be where you are, where I'm less effective at killing things. Enemies scale to your own level only. However, areas do have a minimum level floor, so a level 15 can't really do much in a level 35 area. Right, and we weren't doing that. I wasn't taking it to extremes. It was the beta, so right. So we were just in the earliest areas. We were in the earliest of areas. Having damage resistance scaling is fine. It's that D4 scaling is ridiculously high, making you feel weaker. Hence, why devs will rework it. I'm telling you this right now. I don't think damage resistance scaling should hit until after level 50, and I don't think it should hit unless you're on World Tier 2. It doesn't make any sense in World Tier 1. It doesn't make any sense in the leveling environment. It doesn't make sense. You can turn it on. Just turn it on later. Why are you doing it to somebody who's level 22? Members recap. Why is everyone weird? That's the greatest thumbnail ever, creature. Because it's scaling, you want to be able to slaughter stuff? No. I've never played a game where my reward for going from level 10 to 20 is that I kill things more slowly. Do you hear what I'm saying? I've never played a game like that, brother. Ever. In my life. It's antithetical to power fantasy. It doesn't make sense. You're stronger now. Your ability has bigger radius and does more damage, and the enemies die slower. What? Huh? When you get to the end game, that sentence that I said makes sense. Why? You're in a different grind now. Let me try to explain it a completely different way. Let me just try to explain it a completely different way. The leveling and the base level content is like running a race where you're just going from one area to the next, right? That's all you're doing. You're just running from one area to the next. That's the base level game. You're not stopping. You're not doing anything else. The difference between that and the end game is the end game is more of like a hurdle race where you're running and you're trying to get over these hurdles that require a certain type of finesse and training and conditioning. So now instead of just running in this circle, you're running in the circle and you're having to jump over these hurdles, and that takes mastery, practice, and skill. The end game is that. They have to put these hurdles in, and you overcome those hurdles, right? You go and get a best-in-slot piece of gear, or a legendary, or you work on your Paragon board, or you retweak your build because you're trying to maximize something to overcome that hurdle. Those hurdles don't make any sense in the base level game because all you're really trying to do is just run the lap. They're just trying to run the loop. Does that make sense? Like, typically, once you get to the end game, there's different things. Why? Because you're no longer leveling. In typical fashion, end game referred to when you got to the point where you could no longer level up in a linear way. And because you could no longer level up in a linear way, they had to get creative with what you could go and seek out, right? You would seek out like really specific pieces of gear that had really low drop rates, or you could tweak certain stats. So that's called min-maxing. You're minimizing certain things and you're maximizing other things to become the most efficient player possible. Now, the only thing that's going to make you do that is they're going to have to put pressure on you that wasn't there previously. Instead of just leveling up linearly and killing things and knocking things down, you're now doing the min-max, best in slot. You're now doing that grind. You're still leveling in the end game. Right, but Jake, the difference is in the end game in Diablo IV, they approached it differently, homie. You stop leveling your skills and abilities. You're leveling and you're working on your Paragon board. That's the introduction of min-maxing. You're literally making my point for me. Like when you turn the corner to 50, you're leveling, but you're kind of not. You're only leveling so you can get points to plug into your Paragon board, and your Paragon board is essentially a min-maxing exercise. So from that point on, that's primarily what you're focused on. Yes, you're getting new gear. Yes, you're equipping that new gear, but you're trying to like round out your build to make sure you're hitting at the most efficient, damage output, survivability, whatever it is that you're focusing on. Once you're in that grind, it makes sense to be in an environment where, there's resistance that I have to overcome and consider and think about. I've really got to round out and smooth over the rough edges of my build. I also think that makes more sense when you're going up in world tier because you're trying to make things harder on you. That's how you're wired, right? You want to like raise the enemy's health and power, and then you got to figure out a way to like get above that, right? You got to min-max and like meet that challenge on the battlefield. When I'm on World Tier 1 and I'm just playing through the campaign, bringing that down into that environment, it's like it short circuits the whole thing. It's like, wait, why are you doing this? I'm just playing through the game. How am I supposed to min-max? I don't even really have much. I don't have a whole lot of volition over what drops. I can't go grind for gear. I'm just playing through the game. After level 25, you have access to every ability. Right. I guess we'll do why seasons are divisive. No, I like the why is everyone weird. I think I'm going to do that one. I think I'm going to use that one, Creature. Got to give it to Lono, who's like level 26. He totally got the gist of the end game. Right, because most end games, that's essentially what you're doing. I got to schedule my reaction to, hey guys, Riker here. And I want to talk to you about Diablo IV Seasons and why you should enjoy it and shut up. He doesn't say that. Hang on a second. Listen, I got a little flustered and a little flummoxed and a little like, what the heck is going on? I've enjoyed this discussion. I just think too many people get protective, and because they get protective, they get irrational about it. And it's like, nobody's asking you to have your train taken away. Like, no one's asking for that. Like, oh yeah, let's take that away from them. We don't want them to be able to do that. No, I just want the option. That's all I want. I am not asking for you to change this game and make it bend over backwards to meet me where I'm at. What I'm saying is, man, you give me the choice and I'll just be quiet. You guys can go have a ball. You can go do all the things that you want to do. You can make your new seasonal character. You can race each other on the ladders. It's Diablo IV debate debrief. I gotta create the members thing. Guys, right now I owe you 5 members. If it gets to 50, I'll owe you 10. You guys have already had a big member day for the channel, and we are going to be going to a premiere in about 13 minutes. I reacted to Riker's video on this very subject, and I didn't think that he necessarily really engaged in the debate. I feel like he just kind of talked about why he thinks it's okay and why he likes it. I also think he couches it in a way where it's like it's new players versus veteran players, and I actually don't agree with that, like, at all. I don't think that's I don't feel like that's fair framing. And the reason I don't think it's fair framing is because there are plenty of long-standing players who do not like the way that this is set up. They just don't. They don't like it. What would you suggest as a solution? How do you scale people so they can play with their friends who are maybe 10 or 20 lower? No. And see, this again is where I think people misunderstand me. Scaling is fine. When my wife plays with me and the enemy sees her as a level 11 and it treats her as a level 11 and it drops level 11 gear for her and it treats me like a level 22 and it drops level 22 gear for me, okay? All of that is totally fine. That's totally fine. That's not the same as, hey, thank you so much, Aaron, for ordering some coffee earlier, and somebody else whose name starts with a J. Oh, Enzian ordered some coffee, and Aaron, I've said he uses his real name in YouTube. We got 3 coffee orders today. Thank you guys so much. So I'm not talking about the game not scaling so that my wife can play with me even if she's lower level or my friend can't play with me. I'm not talking about scaling. I'm talking about damage resistance scaling. It's blatantly exposed when you play with somebody who's a lower level than you. The game is constantly raising that curve of damage resistance so that you feel weaker as you play. That's what I'm getting at. I don't care that the game scales to the player so that 2 people can come together and play. That's not what I'm taking issue with. I think, again, it's hard because we had like 4 different independent debates today, and it's like, so I think it can be difficult. People are like, wait, he doesn't think the game should scale, and how can I play with my friend if I'm lower level than them? No. Level scaling is totally fine. They did that in Borderlands 3. They did that in they did that in Diablo 3, I think. But I know they did it in Diablo 4. The issue is it's coming down on top of that is the fact that the damage resistance is curving up the longer I play. It's trying to make you focus on your gear. How do you focus on your gear when you're constantly just leveling up and chucking gear over your shoulder? It's just a wood chipper. The enemy has 20k health for you, but 10k health for her. How would you scale the enemy to fit 2 different level characters simultaneously? Oh my gosh. I literally feel like people just mute the stream. I just explained it. It's okay for the game to do that. I'm okay with level scaling. It's okay for a level 11... It's okay for the enemy to say, I'm level 11 because your wife's level 11, so when she shoots me, I only have this much health to her. And when you shoot me, I'm a level 22 enemy because you're level 22, so here's my health. That's not the same as damage resistance scaling. They're 2 different things. I feel like I ate ice cream too fast. They're different things. As you level, the enemies resist you more, so your damage efficiency goes down. I'm not talking about their health. It's resistance. I'm tired. I am worn out. I tried my best today. I did. You think the devs would come up with the same argument? I'm not sure. Damage resistance just is a perfectly sensible thing for endgame. I'm just going to keep coming back to that. It's not that damage resistance is wrong. It's that it's contextually more sensible in the end game than the early game. Talking about damage resistance scaling, not level scaling. Right, there's level scaling and there's damage resistance scaling. They're two different things. When you combine them in a blender, it's a terrible experience. That makes no sense, though. If the game scales, you're also gaining damage resistance, and so are the enemies. So wouldn't scaling need to be head-to-head with damage resistance? No, it goes up. It goes up the more you play. That's why when my wife was shooting the enemies, they were like melting. And when I would attack the enemies, they would die more slowly. It's why right now, when I play the game as a level 26, the enemies don't die as fast as they were 10 levels ago. They're taking longer to kill. I'm using the same abilities. They're stronger now. I have stronger gear, and it just doesn't matter because they're resisting me more. By the sheer nature, it's a mathematical equation that's just lowering your efficiency the more you play. It's not balanced correctly. I just think it needs to be turned off until you've crossed over to level 50. I also don't think it should be on unless you're in World Tier 2 or above. I don't think damage resistance scaling, it doesn't make any sense in the game unless you're beyond level 50 and in World Tier 2 or higher. Level 1 to 50, World Tier 1? What the frick? You don't need to do that. It doesn't make any sense. As a tank at level 80, sit in poison. This is proof how improper the resistances are, says Wicked. It's not linear. With the leveling, it curves. They expect your damage to have increased more than it has. That's right. The way that it curves and slopes up, it's like they expect you to be able to jump. Picture it this way. Imagine that if you remember Skate or Die, when you would do the half pipe, right? The better you did, the higher your guy would go, and you'd get way more points. Yo, King Mike didn't just become a member today. He's gifted a member. He's setting the example. Chat, you guys have about 5 minutes to hit 50. I think you could do it. Let's slam this home. I'll gift 10 members during the premiere. We're going to go to a premiere in a minute of me reacting to Riker's video. King Mike showing you guys the way. Let's get some more gifteds here at the final minutes of the live stream. They expect you to be able to jump this high at level 26, and they're only requiring, the level 12 player to jump this high. The problem is you can't jump that high. You can't. Unless you got the exact right drops, unless you somehow figured out how to min-max yourself perfectly. The curve, it's like it's without of your reach. And the way that you feel it is, you're not dying. It's not like you can't kill the enemies. It's just that you feel the game slowing down. I'm just not as punchy. I'm not killing things as fast as I used to. So basically, the damage resistance scales up faster than player damage. So no matter how good your gear is, you will slowly get weaker and weaker as you level. Yes! That's exactly right, Chad. Yes! That's the problem. Dude with the drum set's like, we can do it. Come on. He's calling chat to the mat. He gifts 5 and takes us to 37. Let's take a bunch of people with us, because when the Riker video is over, I will debrief with members. So let's get as many people as we can in here so they can experience the ongoing conversation. Listen, let me just do a little PSA here at the end. This is what we do. We have discussions, we have debates, and nobody got banned today. Nobody got banned. Plenty of people came in. I may have gotten a little, worn out having to kind of repeat myself, but you are welcome to come and debate and disagree and tell me I'm wrong, as long as you're respectful, right? Like, don't take swipes at me or swipes at people in the chat. This has been a perfectly fun discussion. Even if it got a little flat tire, I still think it's a good discussion, because if today proved anything, it's that a lot of people have no idea how this game works. They have no idea. And that's just a testament to the fact that they're probably just having fun and they don't freaking care. They do not care. They're like, I'm having fun, Lono. I don't know what your problem is, right? Eugene says, people thought there were magical power thresholds in Destiny for the longest time. I don't expect anyone to ever know how a game works anymore. And on top of that, they will defend the way they think the game works. Right? Can we ban somebody for lulz? You guys have 2 minutes. 2 minutes before we go to this. You need, how many do you need? You need 13 members. 13 members. Just do a little quick 5 bomb. Do a little 5 train. We got a little bit of time. I'm going to get you guys the link to this video. I'm going to get you guys the link. If the redirect doesn't work, this will be the featured video on the channel as well. It'll be the featured video. I'm going to provide a link in chat, and when this stream ends, it will also redirect. You guys can also gift members during the premiere, and if you guys gift 13 more members, I'll do a 10 bomb over there. And you guys that are over there on Kick, I'm going to go ahead and end the Kick stream. You guys need to head to YouTube if you want to come with us. Okay. Kick's now over. I vote we ban Cryptopsy for the lulz. Yeah, let's just ban Cryptopsy. That's totally fine by me. Okay. I owe you guys 5. I'll owe you 10 if you keep it going. I'm going to send you guys over there now, though. I'm going to put a link in chat. Hey, do me a favor. Smash the like button on the way out on this video. I guarantee you there's 50 of you that haven't hit like yet. There was almost 800 people here a little while ago. Now that we're getting ready to transition, make sure you do the same thing, right? When we get over to this new video where I'm reacting to Riker, hit the like button over there as well. Reaction videos like this tend to do pretty well for us. The link is in chat. When this stream ends, it will take you over there. If it doesn't, use the link in chat or go back to the main YouTube channel screen and it'll take you there, all right? And then we're going to go to members afterwards. So it's a good time to become a member. It's a good time to gift members. I'll see you guys over there in the premiere.